And welcome back to part 8 of What If Minato Survived? Last time on Naruto What If, we left off in the Forest of Death. All our combatants are pretty much, ready. They get their respective scrolls. Orochimaru is or is not currently among them. So the question does remain. What happens in the Forest of Death? Well, Naruto and Team 7, they still have that little interaction with those rain ninja. Although Naruto in this version, I don't think would be caught off guard by when taking a leak. I think I think more likely what would happen is that the rain ninja tries to catch him off guard, and he just it's like got you, and then all of a sudden just like I don't know, grabs him and puts him into the ground. Afterwards, he finishes taking a piss on him, and just I don't know, he might. So you don't interrupt the man during sacred ritual. Like, number 1 or number 2. Just not kosher, man. You just don't do it. But, sounds like, now you will be privy to the finishing of my number 1. Put that on a shirt. You will be privy to my finishing of my number 1. Put it on a shirt. But trust me, if I made merch, that'd go on a shirt. But yeah, anyway, he ends up dragging the Rain Nin out, as I think there was the other Rain Nin. Wait, sure, were there 2 of them, or was just the 1? Oh, I can't remember. I think it was just the 1. And, he drags him out, and he even says, this guy tried to catch me while I was taking a leak. It's like, to which Sasuke actually, in Sakura, just go, Sakura probably is a little bit more disgusting. That explains the smell. But, they basically try to interrogate him, and Sasuke actually gets the chance to try out his Sharingan, which is very, is very good. He's trying to basically just get information out of him. Puts him in a minor genjutsu to just talk. He's like, do you have the scroll we want? It's like, no, I do not. I don't. Oh, well, we'll leave you here for your teammates to show up. In fact, and this is where something different can actually take place. They can use this as basically bait to draw in the teammates. And it's like, so what you're going to do is you're going to bring your teammates here, and then we'll take care of the rest. Okay. And so basically they lay hiding and waiting. They come up with a game plan. And eventually the 2 Rainin do find their team. Is like, what the hell happened? You were supposed to come back too as or I was about to say maybe they come to him, or more likely they follow him from a distance to find where the other 2 Rainin are exactly. And he's been put under a genjutsu from the Sharingan, so he remembers what happens, but he's not remembering correctly, which gives them enough time to kind of team up on them. So, they basically do one of the practice drills. Granted, they all have some extra ability on them now. Like Sakura's actually got a genjutsu. And so what happens is the Rain Nin gets to his teammates, explains basically what happened, but he said he can't remember all of it. I remember the eyes and those red with those dots. Red dot. And then they rest. Crap. He went up against Sonichiya. Wait. And they kind of were able to piece together. Crap. And all of a sudden the cherry blossoms start forming, which at first we're just thinking was the surrounding trees, but they realized there are no cherry blossoms in this forest, at least not in this spot. Wait, crap. This is a genjutsu. And so they doing their best to try to get out of the genjutsu, but Sakura, even for a low-level genjutsu, I imagine Sakura, from what Kakashi implies, would be even for a low-level genjutsu, would have a lot of control and power over it. So they're trying to dispel it, and they're starting to, the petals are starting to disappear, but they're not all disappearing, and they're still blinded by them. By the time they put all their effort in, and then the genjutsu dissipates, only for 4 different Narutos to show up and just be like, boom, 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 and just, action style, woo! Knock the guy out who was already kind of, and then take on 2 other Rain Ninja, and they're doing their best to try to keep up, but again, Naruto at this point is definitely above an average Genin, which these guys are probably a little above average, not by much. They had that weird clone. Hold on one second. I always wondered, was that a jutsu or a genjutsu? I cannot remember. Rain Ninja. Oop. Rain Ninja Team Naruto. Team in Naruto. Okay. Oboro was one of them, and they showed back up for that filler arc, which was actually it was a short filler arc, but it was actually one of the filler arcs I kind of liked. Let's see here now, and I'm just waiting for that damn ad to show up because it's going to show up. There we are. Okay, show me. Okay, was it demonic? No, that's the anime. Earth underground projection fish technique. No, haze clone technique. That's what it was. Interesting. So that's what. How do they? I'm sorry. I am kind of going off the rails just a little bit, but I'm legitimately curious because I always forget about that technique. I mean, I don't forget about it, but anytime I bring up the Rain Nin, I'm really just come on, why? Okay, hey, okay. Why don't we just? I'm just gonna look at something. Look at it. Where's my haze clone technique? Proficient in Genjutsu and clone techniques, being able to use slime mind altering technique, which you use to confuse an opponent's sense of direction. Okay, we got that part. Shown to use water release, but for some reason I can't. Okay, here we go. Haze clone technique. Here it goes. All right, how did that work? Because I remember that technique. It's basically every time you like hit them, they'd either turn to goop or just reject. User creates hundreds of copies of themselves, each which, like a standard clone, have no physical substance and thus cannot be attacked. While the opponent attacks the clones, trying to locate the user secretly moves underground. So okay, so it is a Genjutsu technique. Interesting. Okay. The only problem here is that Sasuke can easily see through the Genjutsu. We saw that in the actual fight, where even though he had the curse mark at the time, he forced the Sharingan out to see the Genjutsu, and Sasuke quickly makes short work of that and quickly finds them. And then they're all pretty taken taken out. Sakura comes out of the bushes. They take their skull and say later, suckers, and head beeline straight for the tower. So the question, one of the big questions coming up, is Orochimaru actually here in the village? And I've been thinking on this, and I have to put into consideration Minato and the fact that Orochimaru, while exceedingly arrogant, is not stupid. And he knows that Minato, with having a whole other, at least, actually, how old would Naruto be? Naruto's about 13 now. Over a decade worth of more training. And Minato was a young Hokage, too. He's probably only pushing 40 at this point. Actually, yeah, that's a good question. How old was Minato when he died? Because I think he was in his early 20s, not early, but maybe mid-20s. Minato, Namikaze. Yeah, how old was he when he died? Let's see here. Age. Because, you think 13 more years of training. Okay, he died at the age of 24. Yeah, he was like the youngest Hokage they had. So he's not even, he's pushing he's only late 30s right now, which admittedly in the ninja world comes off as old because they call Kakashi old at 29. Which makes, Tsunade and Orochimaru and Jiraiya ancient, and makes Ananki and Hiruzen just dead walking corpse. Yeah, I get it. It's probably just, the whole teenage bull crap and all that, calling people old and stuff like that. But I also got to factor in, this is a different world than ours. 29 obviously is not old. 30, 50, 40 is not old. 60 isn't even old for nowadays. There are plenty function. My dad is actually a very well functioning 75. So, but at the same time, in this world, I can kind of get that, the older you get, there's a kind of a prime area for you as a ninja. My guess is that prime area, as we see with Kakashi, is probably somewhere between your late 20s to mid 30s. Once you start hitting your 40s, that is when you're starting to kind of slow down a little bit. Because let's be honest. While there are plenty of really fit 40-somethings out there, extremely fit 40-somethings, great health, great shape, still athletic, all that, our bodies around, say, the mid to late 30s start to kind of feel the wear of time. Hell, I'm only in my early 30s, and my body is starting to feel the wear of time just a little bit. I like to think I'm in really good shape, but I don't have a six-pack or anything, but I think I'm in a solid shape. But I can feel, because I think it's partly because of the job I do. I do a lot of lifting at my job. It's a very physically demanding job, particularly on certain days. So, I mean, that's probably part of it. And, with the wear and tear of a ninja life, there you go. So, that could be it. Point is, though, as I was trying to get, Minato, 13 years, not even in his 40s yet? Oh, Orochimaru was not even stupid to think Minato would be slacking. Oh, no. Minato, at this point, is probably an unfettered beast compared to what he was back when he was Hokage, when he was already a beast. So what happens when you beast up a beast? Level up the beast into Godzilla. What happens when Godzilla turns into Burning Godzilla and then goes well and beyond Burning Godzilla? What happens then? Yes, I've compared Naruto and Godzilla. Those are what ifs, by the way, I have been given. Godzilla, Naruto, what ifs. Those will happen someday. By the way, Joe, don't bother asking for them right now. That's just not. I've gone on record saying how the what if cycle works, the who would win the what if cycle, all the cycles really. I've gone in depth multiple times, so you can hound me for the exact same suggestion in any video I do multiple times. It's not going to make it happen any faster. I'm sorry. Moving on. So as I was getting at, Orochimaru would really have to strategize against Minato, and he's just not that stupid. So while I think he's still plotting the downfall of the Leaf, I do not, and I think he still wants the Sharingan. There's multiple. Here's one of the real unfortunate issues about Minato actually surviving and the Uchiha clan still being around. The very fact that the Uchiha clan is still around means Orochimaru does not need Sasuke or Itachi to get a Sharingan. Any Uchiha that is of a lower rank but still like a lower level of skill but still has a Sharingan, Orochimaru can just easily take that guy and take that body. That is the scary truth of this scenario. Which actually means most likely what is going to happen is Orochimaru, while still wanting to downfall Leaf, and I'm not saying that we're not going to get an invasion scenario here, it just might not involve Orochimaru directly. Later down the line when Orochimaru is around, oh, you better believe that he's got a Sharingan at that point. And that's a scary prospect. That is a very frightening prospect. Now, I do not believe he can ever require a Mangekyo Sharingan. I do not believe that at all, because he just does not have that attachment to have a Mangekyo Sharingan. And maybe that is the one argument you can make about him getting the Uchiha, is that fact that he wants a full-blown, full-powered Sharingan like Itachi. He tried after Itachi's and it didn't work. However, he also just wanted Sasuke's, and Sasuke didn't have Mangekyo either, so I don't think he really gives two shits about a Mangekyo. He just wants a Sharingan and everything it would allow him. So, yeah, Orochimaru is not right now in the Leaf Village. So that was a long explanation to say, yeah, they just get to the tower safely. And I think they would probably actually be the first team there. I think Gar's team took a little bit longer in this case. But not by much. So they're there, and it's like, wow, we're the first ones here. Yep, we're just that awesome. And they get they get greeted by Iruka when they do the scrolls. And then Gar, it's like, here you go. Oh, proud of you. And they go up. And then as they're waiting around, say, like in the waiting room, because I'm certain there's like it's not that they're just waiting in this fighting area the whole time. There's obviously places for them to sleep and all that because of people who get there early, no doubt. There's probably like a food court, all that, maybe the minor training area. So that while they're just waiting there and you're just kind of brushing up, Gaara's team shows up. And Tamari, Gaara, and Kakura, they notice Team 7, probably in, like, we'll say, like a dining hall area. Minato's just chowing down on ramen. Sakura and Sasuke are just having a nice conversation as they're eating their food. And they notice that team, the desert team, and they notice Team 7. And they're both looking at each other like, wait, these guys actually beat us here? That guy admit that's impressive. And Gaara takes note of that. I was like, They beat us here? What? How quick? Our Conqueror, how quickly did we get here? According to what the guy said, we got here this because they made mention that it was like a record amount of time that they did it, and it had no scratches on them. But they mentioned it. They mentioned the time, so they were here before us. They actually were here before us. It's like what? That's impressive. I bet they just got I bet they just got lucky. And Tamari just kind of goes, and she sees both Sasuke and Naruto. She says, "Ooh, so that's his teammate. I gotta admit, oh, there's two cuties here." And she kind of just like winks, like, Both Sasuke and Naruto don't know who she's. Even though Naruto's probably got food in his mouth, he's going, and they kind of look at each other like, which one of us do you think she's waving to? I think both of us. And they both go like, hey. To which Tamari's like, See, Tamari isn't a fangirl. Tamari's more like, because Tamari was older than him, so she's a bit more mature to me. Like, oh, I'm all past a fangirl. Now I'm like, I want something. I might go after it. she's a more matured woman. She's like 2 years older than him, which still would actually give her. Believe it or not, there's a lot of maturity you can have within a year or two when going from your teens, depending on your life experience. But granted, they're still teens. They're still hormonally driven. It's just that some of them have good heads on their shoulders. And to which Sakura immediately just like, just staring daggers at Tamari. Just like, oh, it's like, oh, what's the matter? It's like, And so for the few days there, as more people start to trickle in, teammate gets there, Naruto says hi to Hinata and all that. Say, Naruto, yeah. Tamari still continues to flirt a little bit with both of them. Sakura doesn't care anytime that happens with Naruto, but she cares about anytime she like moves on and makes a move on Sasuke. It's like, yeah, isn't that right, Sasuke? Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, Sasuke is was the strongest kid in our strongest ninja in our grade. Yeah, it's like, that a fact. That fact, huh? That's kind of intriguing. It's like, yeah. So there's a lot of, and I think anytime like Tamari or Ino, I can see a lot of fun Tamari, because even though she finds them cute, it's not like she's suddenly in love or anything. She's probably more or less just flirting and playing, and seeing all these young kids just reacting the way they do, particularly Ino, Hinata, and Sakura, being like, "Ugh." I think she'd get a lot of kicks out of that. I could see that very much in her personality. But let's actually get into the actual preliminary match here, because we pretty much are now just going to the preliminary matches. Before anyone asks, no, nothing has changed about the matches because the people who are there have not changed. The only time the preliminary match, in my opinion, has to change is when there's different players involved. Because yes, I get it's random, but in terms of how it played out in the story, that's how it came up in the story. And I've had that happen. People kind of bring that up every now and then. And when I've actually had to randomize it, I have. I think I've only had to really do it once, but I've done it. And it does change things up quite a bit. But that's not the case here. So may we live with that. Make copa. But anyway, Sasuke has a fight with it. I can't remember was it Yuri? I can never remember that one's name. The one who absorbs chakra. And without the curse mark influence there, he quickly makes work of that guy. Who was the next? I'm actually got to try to remember who the next fight was. I think that was Shino versus Zaku. I think that's who it was. And now Zaku doesn't have the broken arms in this scenario. So he poses a lot more of a challenge to Shino initially because he's able to just be a lot more quick, be a lot more direct, be a lot more aggressive, and basically just shred his insects a lot more quickly. That said, Shino would still take that win. I have no doubt about that because he would still clog up the pipes. Actually, legitimately, he'd clog up the pipes. So that happens. Then you get the Conqueror versus, maybe he was Yori? I think it was Yori? One of them was Yori, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I blanked for a second. Conqueror takes that fight. Okay, I'm trying to remember the order of all the fights. I remember all the fights. I just can't remember all the orders. So you had, after that, I think that was the Shikamaru. No, was Shikamaru and Keen before Naruto and Kiba? Either way, the Shikamaru Keen fight would go the same. I know there was the Tamari and 10-10 fight, which would go the same. She probably is also showing up a little bit for the guys. Just because it's like, hey, yeah, that's how strong I am. It's like, oh, she uses one too. Cool. It's like, anyway. And then the Ino Sakura fight. That's more or less. I couldn't remember the order of everything. It doesn't really matter the order per se. I mean, yes, it does, but it doesn't. And the order in the second half matters a lot more than the order in the first half. So Sakura and Ino have their fight, and they're not. It's not the rivalry, and the quote unquote hatred is nowhere near as vicious as it was in the original, because they haven't had to be competing for the same guy. So it is a lot more like friends. It is a lot more like a legitimate rivalry. And so when they fight, yeah, it looks a bit similar to the intensity of what they had there, but there's actually some more. There's some actually, unlike when Tamari and 10-10 said they're pulling their punches, here they can see they're not pulling their punches. They can actually see there's a lot more force in there. It's about actually proving to each other which one is the stronger ninja. And for what it's worth, I think still holds, I think, the slight edge, and she probably had more formal training. And Sakura probably is only recently taking her ninja career a bit more seriously, learning a couple techniques. But even then, she's still teetering. She's doing a little better in this version than she did in the original. But she also hasn't had that moment against the Sound Ninja where she actually is like, cut her hair and said, I'm gonna take you on best I can. Like, that was, for all the shit I give Sakura, and I do, and I have it in this one because I've actually been trying to be a bit more kind to her and be reasonable about what could happen with her in this version. That scene against the Sound Ninja showed that even though she kind of is useless throughout a lot of the first part of the series, she certainly had her moments. And like, that was a legitimately good moment for her in that series. Unfortunately, she just didn't do much with it beyond, going to train with Tsunade for part 2 and, crying about Sakura. I'm so in love with you. She didn't do much beyond that. But look, fair was fair. Fair is as fair does. That was a good moment for her. Absolutely. But because she hasn't had that, I actually think Ino probably is still a little better in the hand-to-hand department. And I have no real evidence to back that up, apart from the fact she came from an actual ninja clan. And her ninja clan isn't even a hand-to-hand fighting one. Like, it's not a melee style. They use mind tactics. But still, she's probably had a little bit more formal training. But Sakura can make up for that by actually having more team training with her team in terms of hand-to-hand combat. So their fight continues. Ultimately, Ina's trying to pin her down, and she can't. So I think instead of cutting her hair, because there's no reason for her to cut her hair in this version, she maybe uses like a ninja wire or something, basically to try to kind of pin Sakura to say, got you! Ninja art, what was it, Mind Swap? I can't remember the actual name of the technique now that I say it out loud. But anyway, and she's about to, it's like, crap, and Sakura can't move. But what you can do, Earth style mud wall! Boom! It's like, what? And you just bounce off the wall. It does nothing. And you boom! That sound it makes. Almost like a machine powering down. And it's like what? And then it breaks the ninja wire. All of a sudden, she sees cherry blossoms starting to fall. What kind of jutsu is this? She just cuts the blossoms and they start multiplying. What? What is? And this is a when did she learn genjutsu? Release! And Sakura's just like, sorry, it's not going to be that easy, And Sakura's just, keeping the hand sign there, waiting, and just putting a lot of chakra and power in this. Now Ino's pretty much blinded, and it almost feels like she's being smothered by these things. Like, Sakura's putting a lot of effort into this jutsu. And, that's the beauty of genjutsu, is your mind will just perceive however the user wants to perceive it. And while the basic technique, from what I can tell, is just, cherry blossoms blinding you, and just more and more, in theory, you want to put enough effort and imagination to it, you can and Sakura probably unintentionally upgrades the jutsu into feeling like it's smothering the opponent and kind of suffocating her a little bit. And then finally, Ino's like, release! And then finally, it releases only for Sakura to come in, just, boom! Just smacks her right in the face. Because we've seen how hard Sakura without the Tsunade training can actually hit. So what happens is she actually puts all that effort into one final strike for Ino, and Ino just doesn't see it coming. She go, or just her eyes go white just from the force. She just actually gets hit into the wall. She doesn't crater the wall, but she just boom. I mean, you got to be careful. You, in theory, with enough strong enough shot and enough leverage, you can kill someone with an actual punch. It's not easy to do, but you can do it. Fortunately, this is anime, and we're not going to be. This is anime, so they got the durability of superhumans. I lost 10 gallons of blood. I'll be okay. That's the Bleach logic, anyway. It's like, oh God, how much blood do I have in me? 10,000 gallons? Oh, thank God, I still got 1 million gallons left. Like that's the anime logic right there. Yeah, so the Sakura lands the strike. So we're already at 25-minute mark. I think we can go to the 30-minute mark to just get everything else done here. But everyone cheers. Sakura has won in this version, so that's a big difference. You get the Kiba Naruto fight, and Kiba recognizes that Naruto's not a loser, but he's also still very arrogant and wants to be the alpha dog, so he still probably pokes fun at him. You think just because you're the fourth kid that you're going to be able to take me on? Get to right now who the true alpha is. Like, and once again, Naruto's like, what? You heard me in the exam, Kiba. You know I hate that. I like, oh, you hate that little fourth little kid, huh? Well, why don't you just go Thunder God back to your daddy, huh? To which Naruto's just like, I'm going to beat the living hell out of you. I'm just like the Omni-Man there from the Death Badge. I'm going to feed you your own heart. But he doesn't, and to which Naruto's just staring at kids. Good luck trying. Full force jutsu. And then Naruto just grabs him and just boom, throws him into the wall. Kiba's stuck, gets out of there. You little. Naruto's just right back there again, just like, what? Is it wind style? Gale palm, boom, and just hits him right in the gut. I've always described it as something called the Buddha palm, where he just boom, like straight gut shot and driving it, and just and once again Kiba gets put into the wall again. Akamaru grabs him. I was like, Akamaru, hey, stop it. It's like, Akamaru, here, boy. And finally throws him the soldier pill. He's like, okay. Fang over Fang! Oh, crap. Naruto realizes, not good. Shadow Clone Jutsu! And he's got multiple clones, which quickly get wrecked. As we said, Naruto's learned a couple other things here. One of them, though, is barrier seals, as I said. And it's not anything amazing in terms of barrier seals. It is more just simply, like a wall of chakra. But two of the clones managed to, set that up right before Kiba comes in again. And Kiba just, Kiba and Akamaru just come in to attack Naruto, only to hit a chakra wall. Just, what the heck? It's like, yep, barrier seals, chakra wall, or barrier, Naruto basically just, it's called a barrier seal, Kiba. As for you, and all of a sudden Naruto just suddenly brings up two kunai. Let's end this. And then he sees the kunai, he knows that's the fourth kunai. So you didn't. It's like, what if I did? And then Naruto realizes what Kiba means because he sees the kunai. He's like, maybe I did. You want to take that chance? And then Naruto then just comes rushing in. It's like, Akamaru, Fang over Fang! Naruto, only for Akamaru to be, is it what? Akamaru? And one of the Naruto clones has finally touched Akamaru, and he's got a paralysis seal on him. Well, that's one down. And then finally Naruto and the clones just basically do kind of an Uzumaki barrage thing and beat the crap out of him. They release the seal of Akamaru. Kiba goes. It goes to their firm, and it's all well and good. The Neji Hinata fight happens, and this is very different, I think, than actually, I say that, and we're almost at the 30-minute mark. I think I'll end with Neji and Hinata about to fight. I wanted to get through the whole tuning preliminaries, and you know what? We'll go a little longer just to do it because really all we have left is Josu, Rock Lee, or Choji, Rock Lee, and Hinata. That's all we have left really. So we know how those last two are going to go. Rock Lee's still going to lose. And yeah, I don't think Kankuro's really going to be interested in talking to Naruto about Neji or anything like that. Choji's still going to lose. So that just leaves the Hinata versus Neji fight. And while I said it earlier, and I still stand by it, that Neji still holds resentment to the main branch of the house, of the clan, excuse me. That doesn't mean he's the same guy, because his dad, as I pointed out, and I had to correctly point out here, is still around. His dad is still alive, which means he is nowhere near as, fatalistic, nihilistic. That's kind of how Neji actually was. He was kind of nihilistic because he just thought fate was a thing and you can't fight it. But no, he's not that here. He's still a little resentful for their treatment towards him and his dad and his in the branch houses. But he's actually generally okay. He can be a bit rough sometimes. I think that's it. And immediately you can see the difference in the fight here because I don't see Neji belittling Hinata. I think he's more just like, are you sure you're ready? Are you sure that you're going to be able to do this, Lady Hinata? It's like, I'm going to do my best, no matter what. No matter what. Very well, then. Because I still think he's like kind of treats her as a cousin, he's loyal to the Bane house. So, they square off, and, their fight begins. And I think that, as Shina said, she was giving him all he could handle initially in the fight. Granted, he was kind of toying with her, but still. I don't see Neji putting her in the infirmary either, because I just don't see the reasoning for that. Plus, someone will step in to prevent that from happening. The question just becomes, when does Hinata have to give up? Because I don't see her winning the fight here. She still doesn't have the level of skill to beat him, and that's just the way it played out in the series. And I think she keeps going until she kind of gets knocked out. I think Neji, to be merciful, knowing that she's just not going to stop, is like, I'm sorry, Lady Hinata, this is for it. It's like, it's for your own good. She'll wake up in a little bit. I didn't want to, which Naruto does kind of like, what was that for, Neji? It's like, Neji could have ended it any other way. And Neji actually points out, I'm sorry, Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I ended it the way I thought best. She speaks very highly of you and how much you've influenced her and how much you've inspired her, and she kind of has that similar attitude to you about not backing down, but she was going to get hurt. But the longer this fight went on, the more she was just going to end up getting hurt, and I just wanted to end it before she got too hurt. Now, Naruto doesn't like that answer, but that doesn't mean he doesn't agree with it, because he could tell, despite the fact that Hinata was, not backing down, it was also very clear that Hinata wasn't going to win the fight. That's the thing. I think that when you really break it down, Hinata getting injured the way she did is partly Naruto's fault. Because you need to know when to throw in the towel. So yeah, and Naruto kind of relents on that. It's like, all right, I don't like it, but he doesn't mean he doesn't agree with it. And so the matches get called. I think the only difference here is that Josu and Sakura are probably paired up with. I'm just gonna simplify it. Josu and Hinata are the ones and Sakura are the ones facing each other, because otherwise it was going to be Shikamaru versus Tamari and then Josu, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the only difference you really get here. All right, we went on much longer than I intended, but that's the end of the fight. I kind of went on a rant, I think, about Orochimaru, about him not being stupid. So yeah, I went a little too long on that. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks for the next one.